All right there, folks. Gather around now. We're here tonight to raise a glass to the late Mick O'Malley. And believe me, the words late were well earned in this particular case. Mick was late for everything. He was late for weddings and for birthdays. I even remember his own stag night. He was late for that as well. In fact, I could start by saying I'm just impressed that he made it to this wake at all here tonight. Now, Mick wasn't what you call a workaholic by any stretch of the imagination. He was willing to work. Every week down at the Labour Exchange, she would ask him, what kind of job would you find suitable, Michael? And Mick would come up with some right clangers, which ensured his continued status as Ireland's longest recipient of unemployment benefit. I could be the manager of the Gresham, he'd say, or maybe the first Irishman into space. And this wouldn't be too hard for Mick because he was spaced out half the time anyway. But seriously, in fact, he had a deep and meaningful relationship with avoiding work. If effort was money, ladies and gentlemen, Mick died the richest man in Ireland. But his CV was a sight to behold. I mean, if you saw it, it was hilarious, and it had the following words: not available, and it asked certain questions: occupation, and Mick put down none; interests, none; religion, none; qualifications, none; skills, none; driver's license, none; experience, none; and even when they asked sex, he put down none. Well, hardly none anyway. Just ask his long-suffering wife there, Kathleen, the mother of his 19 children. But Mick had lots of other talents as well. He could make a pint last longer than most marriages. He could borrow money in a way that made you grateful to lend it to him in the first place. I'll pay you back Friday, he said. What are you looking at? But he never said which Friday now, did he? I suppose we all know he meant the Friday after he won the lotto. His driving. Oh, don't talk to me about it. Mick's car was a miracle of engineering. Not because it worked, no, but because it even started at all. He was always out looking for a push in the morning. I always said, Mick, would you go away and buy a battery for that car? You're too bleeding mean. But it was the only car in the country that could pass the NCT test with a bribe at the pub. And when the engine eventually fell out of it, he just said, sure, wasn't he thinking about going electric anyway? So, Mick was hilarious. I mean, the engine fell out of the car and he had the audacity to talk to Joe on the radio and say, Joe, cars aren't what they used to be. But he never said he was driving a 71 Ford Cortina. Now, Mick loved his family. He loved them so much, he let them do all the hard graft while he sat back with a pint of supermarket cheap beer in hand, managing the whole project. Poor Kathleen would ask him to cut the lawn and he'd say, sure, what's the point, love? It'll only grow back. He had an answer for everything, but that's just nature wasting everybody's time, he'd say. He was a bit of a romantic devil, though. You just ask Kathleen. She told me earlier that every Valentine's Day he'd bring me roses, she said. I said, really? Roses, chocolates, she said. When with the special offer discount on them, and they were always a bit late. So remember what I was saying. It was the day after Valentine's Day. And for our anniversary once, she said he bought her perfume. Well, technically it was car air freshener, but it did come in a bottle that said Pine Forest. Mick also fancied himself as a bit of an athlete. Not the playing kind now, but the spectating kind. He said watching football was good exercise, what with all the shouting and the hand waving. And he swore that lifting points was great for the upper body strength. He had the best conditioned elbows in this country. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that Mick is gone, we'll miss him for the laughs, for his schemes, for the stories that he left behind. But let's face it, folks, if there's a bar tab in the afterlife, Mick O'Malley has already found it. So raise your glass here to Michael Mixie O'Malley, a rogue, a chancer, and a legend in his own lunchtime. Gone but not forgotten. Mostly because half of you still want your fivers back. Now, we'll have one bar of Mick's favourite song. I'm praying for rain in California, so they can grow more grapes and make more wine.